PharmaPhobic is powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, a company dedicated to helping you empower your health, redefine your lifestyle, and all for the health of it. You're listening to PharmaPhobic, where we challenge the state of health in America. I'm Janie, a physician assistant, and I've seen how healthcare keeps people dependent instead of truly healthy.
And I'm Dan, a veteran turned fitness pro here to uncover the truth and explore simple and sustainable health solutions. From big pharma to big food, we're exposing the conflicts of interest keeping us sick and finding better ways to take back our health.
No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk, real solutions, and a little bit of fun along the way.
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of PharmaPhobic, where we help you become the strongest, healthiest, and most capable version of yourself. This podcast is brought to you by Achieve the Lifestyle. And as always, I'm here with my very special companion, sidekick, road dog, battle buddy, wife, Miss Janie Brown. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Dan? And we have Miss Maggie with us.
We got a special guest here. I don't know if you guys can see her. Maggie Moo's back on the podcast.
Maggie's sassy and did not like that we were gone for a week, so has been rage eating random things and then throwing them up.
Yep. I think, and pooping them too. We had a week away in Texas, and she is letting us know very much every minute of every day that she's not pleased with that. Mm-hmm. So between the hours of 1:30 and 4:30 in the morning yesterday, we were up 3 times.
Yeah. So if you see me go, oh, and run off set, or there's an abrupt pause, it's because Maggie has to go outside.
Yep. But here we are. We just came back from a trip to Texas where Miss Janie Brown got certified as a Block 1 coach through Power Athlete.
Woohoo!
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you're welcome to the club. You're allowed to sit at the same table as me now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, we took a week, went out for you to get certified. And then we stayed for the Coaches Collective, which is kind of a continuing education thing that they do every year for their coaches. It's a 2-day event. Different themes every year. This is my 3rd year going to this great event. Small, it's intimate, and it's very connected. Like the people you spend time with there are super cool. And then we decided to stay in Texas for a couple more days because that's where Janie and I used to live, and spend time with some friends and, put energy and time into relationships that we value very much from people that we knew from when we were back in Texas.
Yeah, so shout out G and Destiny, who we hung out with in Austin, and then Maya and Hobby, who we hung out with in Dallas.
Yep. So overall, great time. Continuing education. Learned us some stuff. Connected with some people. Worked on some skill-based hobbies like shooting, because the topic of this year for the collective was tactical strength and conditioning. So, training military, firefighters, LEO, that sort of thing. So we spent some time out on the range, doing some stress shooting, that sort of thing. Really cool stuff. And then we lifted weights, of course. We did jujitsu, and yeah.
So hot.
Yeah, they brought Brazil into 6 Blades.
Their air conditioning wasn't working in the Jiu-Jitsu Academy in Austin, and I had to stop a couple times and take off. I usually don't like to sit out rounds because I just want to keep going. Yep. But I had to sit out a couple times and take my gi top off, because I had a rash guard on. Mm-hmm. But I felt like I was just radiating heat and it wouldn't stop.
Yeah, I took 2 rounds off and I had to literally walk outside because they literally imported the Brazilian atmosphere and heat of the jungle into that little jiu-jitsu studio there in Austin. Now, they said the AC was down?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were just keeping it Brazilian 100.
No, because I think the air conditioning is not very robust.
Yeah.
In my mind, I just imagine like a tiny little window unit. But I was talking to one of the other women there, and she said usually for bigger classes, it can't keep up. Mm-hmm. So they don't even do it. They just open up the door.
Yeah, they have like a roll-away garage door type thing, which was really smart on their part. The place I used to train at in Dallas was a big strength and conditioning facility, and then half of it was the jiu-jitsu gym, and he would purposely open the garage door in the summer and import that Manaus, Brazil jungle heat into there. So, a Texas summer is over 100 degrees and he had the garage door open. That was what he wanted. And we're in there getting after it. So I thought that's what they were doing. I thought this is a Brazilian thing going on right now.
But I've had a little bit of trouble recovering from the trip, and I think it was that Friday.
Oh, we did a lot because we were in the range all day.
Right. It wasn't so yes, it was physically demanding. It wasn't the most physically demanding things I've ever done, but it was because we were outside in the heat in an outdoor range.
We didn't eat that much.
And we were doing shooting with under amazing instruction from John McPhee, the sheriff of Baghdad, and John McPhee, and then we were incorporating some athletic movements, so like kettlebell swings and then shoot. And I sent a video to my friend like, "Oh my God, how'd you do that?" And I was like, "You missed the target completely. That's how you do it. That's how I did it." And then assault bike, echo bike, sandbag, ground to shoulder, and then shoot. My aim was not great. I also rushed it, even though they had said take your time, but that's me. And then they had told us to bring 200 rounds with us. And he was so detailed with his instruction, we shot 5 times and then maybe 5 or 6 times in the athletic part. So everyone had a lot of ammunition left over. So then he said, like, do a power hour or something like that and just... Mad minute. And then my aim was much better.
At that point, we're having fun.
Yeah.
You're just clearing rounds. But yeah, it was a good event. It was a good week. Honestly, for me now these days, when I go on vacation, that's when I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to get to sleep and I'm going to get to rest and I'm going to get to chill. Didn't necessarily do that, but it was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. We had a Go Ruck event too. So I put a rucksack on my back for the first time in 10 years. I wasn't happy about that, but then I was like, oh, I could still run with weight on my back. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So something to be said about maintaining your fitness over the years, even though I'm way older than I was when I was doing all that craziness. Your boy still got it, okay?
And one thing that they did differently this year at the collective, just from that I heard, because I hadn't been at previous ones. I've been at one prior, but I was an outsider. They're fostering more community and accountability.
Yeah, we got accountability groups.
Yeah, so they separate us into small groups, and they separated the women out. There's 5 of us, and, plus or minus separating women out, that's an ongoing discussion with them. But I thought it was great for the accountability group, because now I have a tribe of 5 other women, because we added one more in, to hold ourselves accountable for fitness coaching related things, but also other things in our lives or businesses that don't have anything to do with fitness. So I think that's great because it's all connected, and I'm looking forward to next year to seeing how that.
I think that there's a whole man
concept.
Yeah, there's like a whole man concept there where you got to build yourself up. We're all coaches, right? We're all coaching in some capacity, most of the people in the network. So whether it's, physical therapy or it's athletic training or it's strength and conditioning or it's health coaching, whatever it may be. I think there's something there about when you're a coach, you got to deposit into yourself so that you can deposit into others. There's the whole you can't pour from an empty cup it's the thing, right? So a lot of it is not only you continually sharpening your blade, continuing education, that sort of thing, so that you're always up to date and you can help people. You have a plethora of resources to help people, but it's also so that you're in a mental state where you can pour into other people, right?
Right.
So with me, I apparently, when we started laying it out, I don't do anything that isn't related to work.
Dan doesn't know boundaries.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, hey, can you train me at 2:30 in the morning? Dan's like, yes.
Yeah. My goal for this year is to be better doing that. Like I need to, say no to certain things. Now fill my calendar up with 10, 12 sessions in a day.
Make time for yourself.
Make time. So I have to make time for myself. And then it's like, other than work. So if like, oh, I'm going to make time for myself, but I'm going to work on the podcast. I'm going to make time for myself, or I'm going to read a book about something related to training. It's like, no, I'm going to make time for myself. I'm going to read a fiction book, and be quiet for a little bit, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that, at the end of the day, this whole trip really, it's a health thing, right? Like I put on Instagram, it's like, hey, this looks like we're doing all this other stuff, but really it's health. The whole thing of it. It's connecting with other people. It's learning new skills, sharpening other skills that you have, and then working on yourself as a person so that you can be in a better position to continue to help people, right?
Yeah. And within my group, some of the main things that what I need to work on is, getting more traction within Achieve the Lifestyle, so more clients, right? And in doing so, I need to get out of my own way. So that's something that that group's going to help me with, but also what we do with Steve is going to help me with that too. And something that I tend to do, and I shared with the other women, is that I tend to focus on what I need to do, what I don't have education or certification wise, and I totally neglect everything I do have and everything I do know. Because it's hard to see yourself when you're inside the frame. So if you think of a picture, you're in the picture, it's hard to see yourself. So it's having a good tribe to reinforce and help you help remind you of what you've accomplished, what you can do, instead of focusing on what you're lacking or what you cannot do. And also recognizing and giving time and space for that for yourself. If you always think negative, you need to give equal time for positive things. So, so yeah.
Yeah. Overall, a good trip.
Yeah.
Always glad we went. I think for us personally, like going to events, like going to Summer Strong, going to the Collective, that's always like it's very motivating. It gives you like a little boost, little pep in your step, and I always pick something up that I'm like, ooh, we need to do that for our business, or I need to implement that in my coaching, that sort of thing. So that's always a good time. Guys, refocusing here. We got some topics for y'all
he's
today.
just transitioning rather abruptly.
Yeah.
We're done talking about that.
Yeah. We're here to inform the people.
Yeah.
So we're done talking about us. We're going to talk about y'all and what's going on out there and how we can help you, because that's what we're here to do in the PharmaPhobic podcast. Yes, we are here to rattle cages and piss people off and, give Big Pharma the old two-fingered salute, but we're also here to help y'all. Let's talk about the health news.
Health news.
Health news. Yep. So recently, they redefined the obesity standards.
Oh,
right?
no.
Yep, they redefined them. Now, granted, let's start laying some groundwork here. Obviously, obesity is a problem, not globally, but especially in America. We're the most obese country in the world, by far. I think Mexico's catching up, but we still take that cake home, right? So the Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology Commission. Okay, if you haven't heard of the Lancet, they're like a medical journal, medical association. They're highly regarded. I'm sure during the pandemic, you heard the Lancet, the Lancet, the Lancet. They're always putting stuff out. They're very highly regarded medical journal / medical association out of New England, out of Massachusetts. Yes. So they expanded their criteria for what is considered to be obese. Until recently, obesity was normally defined or determined by the BMI, right? Body mass index. Janie, what does the BMI entail? So that people kind of...
Yeah, it's your height, weight, and then you multiply it by something I can't recall. I knew at one point. But BMI isn't the best because it doesn't take into account lean muscle mass, body fat percentage. And so there's a big deficit for that. So somebody can have a body fat percentage of, like a man can have a body fat percentage of like 5 and be super muscular, so like a bodybuilder, and they can technically be obese if their BMI is over 30. Yeah. So BMI ranges 25 to 29 is overweight, 30 to 39 is obese, 40 plus is morbidly obese.
Yeah. So we usually, the example that we like to give is something like an NFL lineman. that, you know, there are 300-pound males. Some of them are very lean. Some of them are fat, but some of them are very lean, but they're over 300 pounds. They would bust that BMI scale and they would be called morbidly obese.
Yeah, and so two guys. All right, she's laying down. Two guys, like the NFL lineman, may have the same BMI, but one is 20% body fat and one's 11.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
you know, we take John Wellborn, for example, from Power Athlete. He was an NFL lineman. He was 308 pounds at playing weight, but he was 8% body fat. And then you could see other linemen that are obviously not 8% body fat. They would both fall into the morbidly obese category. Now, taking that into consideration, obviously those people are very, very far outliers. You know, the amount of people that walk around over 300 pounds with all that muscle are very few and far.
Yeah. So typically when I'm practicing, if somebody has a BMI of 25, 26, I'm like really like looking at them to see, are they carrying a lot of body fat or is it more muscle mass, to really classify them as overweight. But as Dan said, standard Americans, if your BMI is over 30, it's not likely because that you have an abnormal amount of muscle mass.
So it's not infallible metric. It's not perfect, but it tends to point you in the right direction.
Yeah,
right?
But it was used for diagnosis criteria and also for criteria to approve the use of GLPs. And so then once we start using a BMI that has notable shortcomings, but we're using it for insurance coverage, that's where it gets a little gray.
So you notice I put my trusty glasses on.
Oh, Dan got reading glasses
I'm here.
finally.
I'm at reading glasses now.
But time out. When we were in Texas, at one point you were like, oh, it just makes it so much easier. And I'm like, you think?
Whatever. Whatever. I'd rather squint and extend my arm out at stuff. But here I am with my reading glasses. So they basically expanded the criteria. Now they want to use BMI plus, right? So they want to use waist to height ratio, waist to hip ratio. So let's say you are 5'2", but you have a 40-inch waist. We're telling a story, right? And they want to use waist to hip ratio as well. So what would be considered obesity is a BMI reading by their new framework. They basically did a study of 300,000 people. By their new framework, BMI plus one of these anthropometric readings, right? Oh, you're this tall, but your waist is this big, your waist circumference is this big. You are now in the obese category. So what happened here is that by this new standard, we went from 40% obesity rate to 70% if we fully adopt this, right? 70% of people would be considered obese. Now, here's where it's not surprising to me. The numbers that we've thrown around in this podcast before from the NIH, when you combine the overweight category and the obese category per BMI only, you end up with 72%, right? NIH numbers, they're old. We're talking 2019, 2020 numbers that we had already. You don't need those numbers to realize that we have an obesity epidemic, because all you got to do is go to Walmart, to Target, to the movies, to Disney World.
Airports.
Orlando Airport, any airport really, but to realize that.
So specific.
Yeah, both, because Disney World, Orlando Airport, and we just flew through the Orlando Airport, and it was flabbergasting the amount of youngish looking people on wheelchair assistance, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, you know, observationally, you can tell that we have an obesity problem. But before all of this, per NIH, we had about a 70% combined number there, counting overweight and obesity. If you look at the metabolic dysfunction numbers, that they say it's 88% plus of the population has some sort of metabolic dysfunction, you start seeing that, hey, this 70% category and this jump, we kind of already had that, right? Mm-hmm. We were kind of there. So it correlates a little bit. This is where...
So before you go on to that, this is where things can be good, but then if you look, they can be both good and questionable. I don't disagree. I think that that's needed to change that assessment, because we just said somebody could have a high BMI and they're not overweight, but somebody can have a normal BMI and be overweight, because muscle weighs more than fat. If they're majority fat mass, they will weigh less. Mm-hmm. Therefore, they can have a BMI, say, of 23, 24, but still be metabolically unhealthy because waist. And so metabolic health is determined by fasting glucose, triglycerides, waist circumference, blood pressure, and I forgot the other thing. If Danielle listens to this, she's going to be screaming it. I know she is.
Okay, so they have these two categories that they want to put down. So preclinical obesity and clinical obesity. So preclinical obesity would be that you BMI plus one of these anthro, waist circumference to height ratio, all that stuff.
HDL and triglycerides, sorry.
So you meet the criteria for obesity, but you don't have any chronic illness associated or as a result of your obesity yet.
Right.
Preclinical obesity. Clinical obesity, now you have something associated.
So you have a comorbidity.
So you have a quote-unquote comorbidity. You have diabetes. You have some form of cardiovascular disease.
They were using that to allow people to be covered for GLPs if they had a BMI of 27, which is still overweight, but weight-related comorbidity. So hypertension, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, things like that. So now so it's similar.
Yeah. So we're getting there. So here's where it gets dicey, because we like this, right? We need to admit and loudly speak to the fact that we have an obesity issue in this country, and that obesity, undeniably, because there are people out there that will tell you that it's not, there's movements, delusions, deceptions,
body positivity
movement. We're talking about healthy at any size. We're talking about, fat pride and all this other stuff that is clearly a deception, right? It's clearly based on delusion and no objective fact that, oh, you could be obese, but you could be healthy. No, ma'am. We're not about to play that game. Okay. So we take that and we obviously kick that out the door, because that is based on nothing. And we know what obesity eventually results in, right? So
I like this though, because, and I know I keep stopping you from going over to the point, but I like this, especially with the waist circumference, because this is highlighting more body composition than weight. Because I think as a society, we've hyper fixated on weight. And when I work with clients or patients, they're, I want to get to this weight at all costs. And it's, well, what if we get to a weight that's 5-10 pounds above that, but like you have a lot of muscle mass, you're moving, you feel good, you're sleeping well, all this stuff. So I like this, because if the waist circumference comes down, that usually means you're losing fat, putting on muscle.
Yeah. Here's what's yes, I like that we're focusing on obesity as a problem.
But there's another side to it.
Yes, I like that we're we're kicking these body positivity people off to the side. Get out of the conversation. You don't belong here.
So aggressive. I mean, there is something about being, and this is more talking about like being overweight and recognizing it and not having your mentality devolve from it, right? And so honoring your body where it's at, because say you put on some weight. Let's give an example of postpartum. They have excess body weight. Okay. For good reason, all right?
Yeah.
And a lot of time women postpartum will try to very speedily decrease their weight back to pre-pregnancy
rate. I have a point on that here in a second.
But when you put on weight, it's for a reason. It's understanding that reason, even if it's not because of if it's not postpartum. Why is the weight on there? Is your body protecting from something? Is it under a significant amount of stress? So it's trying to figure out the root cause of this weight gain, honoring your body where it's at, working within it. There's a difference there between, I know I'm overweight, I don't care, I'm not doing anything for it, it's my right to be. So there is a difference, but I do want to just shed light on, it's good to not hate your body, essentially. Even if you're carrying some extra weight.
I don't think you should be, if you are, and listen, a lot of people that end up morbidly obese, there's a lot of trauma there, right? They had some a lot of sexual assault, sexual abuse. They got molested, whatever it may be. Somebody died, and then they end up eating themselves into this conundrum, right? And people like us exist to help people fight that, right?
Yeah.
I don't, that's part of my purpose. I'm here to help you be stronger, healthier, more capable, and reap all the character values that come with you jumping on the health train, right?
Yeah.
When you decide to pursue the healthiest version of yourself, it's not just about how you're going to look and how you're going to feel. There's a lot of mental strength and a lot of character growth that happens by undertaking that, because it's a long, arduous journey, right? And challenge shapes you to be a better person. Hands down, it doesn't happen. So I don't think you should be shamed because you are overweight. I don't think you should be shamed because you're morbidly obese. But what I am going to point is to that. If you find yourself in a morbidly obese situation and you say, I'm in trouble, I need to change what I'm doing, and I'm going to do whatever. I know I'm not healthy. I'm going to change. And I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm not saying that you need to have a six-pack. I'm not saying that you need to weigh a certain, none of that. We obviously go by metrics. We want your blood work to look a certain way. We want your body to have a certain capability. And that's what we're judging on. And the looks and the aesthetics come with
And
that.
also certain habits.
Yep.
Right? Because even if somebody's not overweight, but they sit on their butt all day and are sedentary,
yeah, there's plenty
that's bad.
There's plenty of skinny, fat people out there too.
Yeah.
So unhealthy AF. They live on tobacco and Monster energy drinks, whatever it may be, and they're skinny, but they're very their body fat percentage is really high, right? Because they're under muscled, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So we're talking to you too.
Yeah. And now let's take a quick break. Have you heard about collagen and how amazing it is for your skin, hair, nails, digestion, and joints, but have no clue which one to choose? I've been there. A few years ago, I stumbled upon Bubs Naturals, and let me tell you, I've been hooked ever since. Here's why I swear by them. Bubs Naturals keeps their quality standards sky high from the start to finish. Their collagen blends perfectly in coffee, or really any other beverage you love. Plus, they've got convenient to-go packs so you can stay on track wherever life takes you. And it doesn't stop there. They'll donate 10% of all of their proceeds to charities that support veterans. How awesome is that? Oh, and they've leveled up their electrolytes too. The mixed berry, that's my absolute favorite. It's light, refreshing, and not overly sweet. What sealed the deal for me? Their electrolytes are NSF certified, made right here in the USA, and just like their collagen, every purchase helps give back. So do your body a favor, head to bubnaturals.com and use my code JANE20 at checkout for 20% off every time you order. Tired of looking like you lost a fight with a powdered donut every time you work out? Yeah, I was too. That's why I ditched the messy chalk and switched to Chalkless. Chalkless is a new, clean, residue-free grip enhancer that goes on in seconds and lasts for hours. No clouds, no cleanup, just a rock-solid grip. Whether you're crushing it in the gym, dominating on the pickleball court, or hanging on a rock face like Spider-Man, Chalkless has your back. I even hit my 350-pound deadlift PR at Summer Strong using Chalkless. Locked in, zero slip, total confidence. Ready to level up your grip game? Head over to chalkless.com and use code JaneBrown to snag 10% off your order.
The people that piss me off, that it bothers me to no end, and this is why I take a hard stance on the body positivity, healthy at any size, fat pride type of stuff, is because you are pulling the wool over people's eyes. And these are the people that are saying, you don't need to change. You are fine just the way you are. You are going to be, and you're talking to a 400-pound person who's clearly already suffering complications, and you're lulling them to sleep thinking they don't have to do anything about their current situation. And some of these people get really, there's all these fat influencers and stuff, and they're out here demanding that airlines make bigger seats, airlines make bigger hallways, airlines need to accommodate obese people, restaurants need to be accommodated. I'm not going to change. Everything else needs to change to accommodate my current state. That is a problem. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm like, no, this is a deception. This is a movement that if I had to bet and I pulled all the money, because, there's FatCon and all this other stuff now. If I pulled the money out, I bet you Big Pharma's in here, hey, stay sick,
Yeah.
Putting money into it. So anyway, that's why I'm taking that hardline stance on it. So now we established that distinction. We keep going here. We like that there's a focus on obesity because we know it's a problem and we know it's a growing problem and it's huge already and it's going to make our medical system collapse at some point with all the repercussions of growing obesity rates, right? And it's down into the children. It's terrible. Here's one thing that I'm going to suggest. BMI, waist to height ratio, that's great. Why don't we just put people on InBodies? Why don't we, like, I know the InBody isn't the most accurate thing. Obviously, doing DEXA scans would be tough because a DEXA scan takes a couple of minutes. So that lengthens your visit at the, and not only that, all these clinics have to get DEXA. It's a really expensive machine, whatever. InBody is just like a little thing sitting in a corner. It takes 1 minute to go through it. Instead of putting people on a scale when you go up for your checkup.
So it still does take more time than a scale. It just does.
Yeah, but then you got to do your little math for your BMI and all.
No,
the BS.
You put it in a computer and it does it for you.
Okay.
So
I just solved it with an InBody.
Okay, that's not the point. But the thing is, it does take more time. Providers will need to know how to interpret it.
You guys went to medical school for 25 years?
I'm just letting you know that appointments are too short as they are. Now you're going to make the intake process longer. I'm just telling you what
the
opposition you would get.
Yeah.
Yes. The other thing is that InBodies would need to, yes, InBodies are not perfect, right? The InBodies are best if you track over time.
Mm-hmm.
Then getting the patient to come and get it again at the same time of the day, having the same amount of fluid intake, all that stuff. You and I doing that, we can control that better because we understand and we're motivated and we kind of are in routines. But the common person doing that when they're rushing to the doctor or they have to take time after work or maybe they can't come, it's just, I tried to get the last office I was at to get an InBody, and that's the resistance I met.
So I honestly, I mean, I want to put my head through a wall right now.
No, and I agree with you. I think it should be.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
and I thought that they were going to start doing it because I had some colleagues that were at the American Academy of Family Medicine convention recently, and in the, you know how they always have the vendors, InBody was there, and they did InBodies. I'm like, does this mean the American Academy of Family Physicians is going to start suggesting all family medicine should do InBodies? And they were like, nope, they were just there. And I was like,
InBody is not perfect, but it's better than putting somebody on a scale and telling them, oh, you're good.
And
you're fat.
So what I was going to use it for, maybe, it should be used for everyone. What I was trying just to get my foot in the door with was everyone who's put on a GLP should have an InBody.
That's a good one. That's something that you stop right there. And you'd also stop that lady that weighs 120 pounds and she thinks she's fine. And then when you put her on the InBody, she's 40% body fat. Yeah. And her visceral fat is through the roof. Visceral fat, we all know, yes, deep inside the gut, it's choking out your freaking organs and giving you metabolic issues. Even though you're not obese, you're still experiencing pre-diabetes, that sort of thing, because all this fat is accumulating around your organs.
Yeah.
So you could be skinny but have a high level of visceral fat. InBody gives you that reading as well. It'll give you a BMI, so now you don't need to put anything in the computer. It'll give you a body fat percentage and even a hydration status. Is it the most accurate thing? No. Is it better than what you're doing right now? Yes.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I don't care. It's too easy to tell somebody, same way you tell them that they're going to get labs. Hey, don't eat before you come because we're going to pull blood.
Yeah.
I could tell you.
You would be shocked at how challenging that is. Oh, I forgot.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Or, make sure you hydrate well before you get blood so that way we can have a vein. Oh, I forgot.
That's perfect.
So you would think.
That's perfectly fine because you know what? I don't need the InBody to be perfect because it's already going to point me in a direction.
Right. Okay.
So I don't need it to be perfect. Even imperfect circumstances for InBodies are going to be better than the nonsense we're doing right now.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
No, I agree with you. I'm just letting you know that conventional medicine, I hope and pray that they start doing InBodies. Yeah. I really do.
And it's cheap
because
for medical clinics.
But most don't. So let's give people something that they can do. You can go to InBody's website and it'll populate locations of where InBodies are, if they're registered and everything like that. Typical places that will have it. I know in upstate New York, the Vitamin Shop had it. A few gyms had it. So I would look at InBody. I think it's just InBody.com. Google InBody's website. Check them out. See, you know what? I have a little computer right here. Let me just do it. You keep talking.
Don't worry about it. Anyway,
we need to give people action items.
Boom.
InBody USA.
Oh my God. Okay. So the whole thing with it is that we like the fact that obesity is in the spotlight. We like the fact that we're looking at ways of doing something about it. Is it going to be the best way? Not quite. But here's where the conflict of interest arises. A lot of people on the board that decided that this should be the new way of determining obesity have conflicts of interest.
Yep.
Hey, what conflict of interest could these people have? Well, multiple, not one, not two, a couple of them consulted and took research grants from two pharmaceutical companies, Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. Oh, Dan, why does that matter that Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly were putting money in the pockets of the researchers and the medical professionals that were sitting on this Lancet board determining new standards to determine obesity? Because Novo Nordisk makes Ozempic and Wegovy, and Eli Lilly makes Mounjaro or tirzepatide.
Interesting.
Interesting little fact. You see how the pharma tentacles start getting into everything, and it's like, oh, this is great, but here is my grubby little hands in the pot looking for ways to turn this into a ridiculous cash cow, right? Instead of stuff that's actually going to help people.
Right.
So these doctors with conflicts of interest are now telling you that actually obesity is not 40%, it's 70%. Guess what that does? It's going to qualify more people to be put on GLPs, right? So what did we solve at the end of the day?
So couple things. If you go to InBody.com, I know Dan doesn't want me to do it, or their website, and you go to resources, you can find testing locations. I just looked at it. There's actually a lot going on. Just watch her because anyway. With increasing so on the Power Athlete Discord, there's a gentleman on there, I've talked about him before on the podcast, who's very pro GLP use. And what he's saying, GLPs work. Why not just give everyone who's obese a GLP? We get their weight down, we solve problems. So why not do that?
That's going to get me, I have a point on this because we're going to get their weight down. So I was having this conversation the other day when people jump on GLPs, the typical blood markers, the most conventional blood markers look great.
Yep.
So blood sugar goes down, fasting glucose goes down, cholesterol levels go down, which there's an argument there whether HDL and LDL. There's an argument there to HDL and LDL getting lowered to a certain point where it's not healthy, but that goes down significantly. So those are the common. Triglycerides might even go down, although I've seen people with the triglycerides still high, but the HDL, LDL, fasting glucose, and A1C went down. There's an argument there. That's what 99% of doctors are going to look at, right? And I was telling, I was like, that
and
stuff, and the weight, just regular weight, all that stuff is going to look great. What's not going to look so great? Actual body composition. So body fat percentages are still going to be fairly high. Muscle mass is going to be lower. And
we're talking about the common, like the majority of the people on it, the standard American, not the person who is pulling the lever of a GLP on top of other things and really trying to preserve lean muscle mass. Or now we're seeing bodybuilders utilizing GLPs to cut weight for competitions. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the standard American who eats the standard American diet, who it has the standard American level of
and
sedentarism.
Who goes to the standard medical practitioner. We're not talking about people that are finding these private doctors that you pay a lot of money for that can microdose you on a GLP.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's not who we're talking about.
Just want to set that, because I know that there are people who are utilizing GLPs and are doing great. I've worked with some of them. we're not talking about
Yeah.
that.
But even these micro doses are starting to look a little funky long term. So the standard practitioner is going to see your blood work and just look at those three factors that are important. And those three factors are going to look great. Now, where I was telling the person that I was having this conversation with, here's what we would have to test to actually get a better picture of what's going on. Micronutrient status, iron levels, hormonal levels, TSHs, so thyroid function levels. That stuff will probably change, not for the better in a GLP user because you're not eating. Your intake of nutrients is not going to be as adequate or is not going to be ideal in the majority of cases. There are some people on GLPs that can eat somewhat normally, and they tend to be the ones that were diabetic or close to diabetes. That's my observation. Not a hard fact like, hey, from all the cases of GLP use that I've seen, the people that were on it for diabetes before it became a weight loss thing seem to be the ones that can retain a normal level of food intake, right? They can eat normally. You can tell them they need more protein, they can do it. The other people, they send them off with a GLP prescription and they tell them, eat more protein and lift weights. And what you find is that because they're eating so little and they really can't do it, they can't. It's a hard thing to intake a proper amount of protein. And also if they decide to train, it's very challenged, right? Because their energy levels can only go so far. Yep. So there's that part.
So my problem with this is that it's the same thing that I see with statins and blood pressure medications. I was just talking to somebody the other day who has elevated triglyceride levels and is on a statin. And I was talking to him, I was like, what are you doing to, help with your triglyceride levels? Just to see kind of where his literacy is on how triglycerides function. It's the first time I'm meeting this guy. He goes, oh, for my triglycerides, I'm on a statin. So here's the problem. People are not told or educated that their lifestyle, the foods they eat, the way they move their body, the way they sleep, the way they manage stress, which I have another idea about sleep, so put a pin in that. They're not told that can influence their lipid panel, their body composition, their blood pressure, blood sugar, all this stuff. All that they're told is this is abnormal, here's a medication. And then when you say, what are you doing for your cholesterol, triglycerides, blood pressure, weight, I'm taking this med. That's what they're doing. They're not doing all the other things. And this is why I am so frustrated with conventional medicine. This is why I got the additional certifications I did. This is why we started to Achieve the Lifestyle. There's this whole area of lifestyle that is not being touched on, not being addressed. And then you have even prescribers saying, well, that doesn't matter because there's this medication. And that guy in the Discord who I talked to is a medical provider in some sense. He basically has challenged me when I said, what about talking to people about their nutrition, exercise, lifestyle, sleep, stress management? He said, I guess you're just okay with continuing to call people fat and letting them be fat. And that frustrates me because I don't ever call people fat. And also, he doesn't know that, but these things are powerful for people, plus or minus the GLPs. If you solely rely on statins, blood pressure medications, diabetes medications, GLPs, and you continue to practice the lifestyle that you do that got you to need these medications can only do so much. Yep. You're going to need to start increasing doses, adding on others, or they'll fail. And the disease is progressing at a slower rate, but it's progressing. And you're doing nothing to help besides putting a pill in your mouth.
So that goes to what I always say and what a lot of people say. We didn't end up with possibly 70% obesity rate because people lacked access to GLPs.
They probably lacked natural production of GLPs, but that has nothing to do with whether or not they had the shot.
That is has to do with what you're eating.
What you're eating, your stress, your exercise.
We didn't get to cancer rates through the roof because not enough people were on chemo. We didn't get to through the roof heart disease number because not enough people were lacking statin in their body, and now we have rampant heart disease, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of these things are tied to either toxic environments or they're tied to lifestyle. So we stopped living like humans and eating like humans and moving like humans, moving the way that we were designed to do, acting the way that we were designed to do, honoring the way that we were built and the way that nature works. We stopped doing that and we started eating modern crap, highly synthetic crap, exposing ourselves to highly synthetic nonsense all over the damn place. And that's how we ended up here. Now, every time that we opt to go with a pharmaceutical option, synthetic pharmaceutical option with side effects, we didn't solve anything, okay? Every time you put lifestyle and eating right and all this stuff and you throw it off to the side because people aren't going to do this, it's not going to work immediately. Every time you throw that off, you're literally compounding the problem. You didn't solve anything. You jumped on a pill, congratulations, you're managing. You're not solving, you're managing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And medications are used to put out fires, right? Let's help you not die, because I think of blood pressure for this. If your blood pressure is 200 systolically over 120 diastolically, 100% you need medications. Please take a medication, get that blood pressure down. But guess what? Let's try to modify our lifestyle so that way we're able to control our blood pressure so it doesn't even get that high, because a blood pressure that high takes a lot of meds.
Yep.
That carry a lot of side effects.
And the thing is that when you give people the pill, some people don't even want to bother considering the lifestyle part. And I've had a lot of conversations of, I'm 60 years old. I'm just not going to change the way I'm eating. Okay, go ahead and pick out your pine box or oak, whatever you want. Go ahead and pick that out.
You just went straight to death. Okay.
But I'm just saying, that's essentially what you're saying. When you don't want to allow change and perspective expansion you might as well die.
Yeah.
Okay. If you growth and expansion of your perspective is when you stop growing and you stop being willing to change, you're essentially dead in the water, right? So, I'm this such and such. I'm Italian. I'm not going to stop eating this. Or I'm like,
Janine's offended.
That sort of mindset, it just kills you. It literally is the kiss of death. So it is something that, some people opt for that, but other people think they're bamboozled into believing, hey, I gave you this pill, you're good to go. You ain't got to worry about anything else. No, fam. There is no long-term health, I'll say this every time, without the lifestyle factors. If you don't include the lifestyle factors, you will never achieve long-term health. I don't care how much you GLP yourself and how much you pill yourself into and peptide this and that, which is what I'm going to transition to now. You'll never be long-term healthy the more synthetic you get.
Yep.
Okay? So with that, we got good news, we got bad news, right? Pharma, they're all over this acknowledgement of obesity as a problem, but we're getting obesity to move into the forefront. Hopefully that leads to the food system, deep look at why our food is so messed up, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the problem, transitioning here. Well, this is related. Nutraceutical. So the nutraceutical industry is officially running amok. Supplement industry has officially jumped the shark. We're derailing. We're going crazy.
Did you say jump
the shark?
I thought you said something else.
Is that
I've never heard jump the shark.
That's an old
That's
people.
What you say?
Yeah.
Jump the shark?
Yeah,
I thought you said jump the shark.
I guess that's an expression that comes.
I'm like,
That's an expression derived from, what is it, Happy Days? I guess Fonzie jumped the shark in one of the episodes or whatever. It's like this big water. It's an old people thing. Don't laugh at me, y'all. It's an old people thing, whatever. But anyway, we've officially derailed. We've gone, the circus is in town now with the supplement industry. It's crazy. What am I getting at? The peptide thing. Yes, GLP peptide, but that's not the only peptide we have. We got BPC 157, TB 500. There's all these other peptides that are coming out now for skin health, for recovery, and some of them are really powerful. They work really well, right? Like BPC 157, the injectable form, guys, because if you Google BPC 157 right now, you're going to find a whole bunch of stuff on Amazon, sublingual, little pills, whatever. None of that stuff works. All that stuff is nonsense, for lack of a better word. The actual BPC 157 that actually gives you the benefits is injectable, right? All these peptides are. The actual stuff that works is an injectable form. So, BPC 157 is really popular because it helps with injuries, like in recovery and ligament and tendon health and that sort of thing. There's other peptides that are coming to the market now that for skin health. I mean, I just saw one post on Facebook from a lady I knew from back in the day at a gym that I used to work at. And this chick is posting vials of stuff that she's taking. Vials, okay? So she's injecting herself every day with this, and this one's for the skin, and this and that. It's getting out of control, guys. It really is getting out of control. And this goes to the supplements as well. You know, when we have a conversation with people and we tell them like, hey, you need to, an example that immediately comes to mind. Hey, I would like you to eat a little bit more protein. So let's figure this out, what you're eating, so that we can get a little bit more protein in. What's the default setting of a lot of people?
Protein smoothies, protein bars, protein powder.
Yes.
I just had this conversation with a woman who's on a GLP, and I said, we need to increase your protein. And she's like, well, I start each day with a protein smoothie. For lunch, I have a protein bar. And I started having that conversation like that, supplements to supplement, not replace, if able. And she said, but I make my own smoothie. And I'm like, okay. Within the practice I'm at right now, I need to choose my battles. And the fact that she's prioritizing protein is better than her skipping completely, right? But I did have the conversation with her. There's a reason why we chew. There's a reason why we have saliva. That whole process of digestion is happening. And there is a difference with the body metabolizing and relaying satiety and other things when you chew actual food versus when you drink protein or eat something quickly. So protein bars are great for in a pinch. Like we use them during travel because airport food, no thank you. But it pales in comparison to having a legit meal.
Yep. So the default setting is becoming for a lot of people like, oh, I'm going to get healthier. Yeah, I'm going to include this protein powder here, this protein thing here. I'm going to include this supplement there, this greens powder here. And you start compiling a thing of supplements thinking that that is your default health strategy.
Right.
That's exactly what we want to avoid. Supplements are fine, especially if we're talking about the essentials like vitamin D, magnesium. We can talk about zinc, creatine. Put them on there. And yes, you want to have a protein powder on board, really clean protein powder. And we're going to talk about protein powders here in a second. Hopefully we get to it. You want to have that on board, but you want to have that as a boom, in a pinch, not your default setting. When given the choice of, I'm going to have breakfast, I'm going to have a protein smoothie, or I'm going to have eggs and some, and some meat and some, sourdough bread or something, or some fruit. Breakfast. And you start, I'm going to go for the smoothie every time. Now, granted, listen, there are layers to things, right? And optimal, ideal would be to have a meal that you cook. If you're starting out and I can get you to go from no breakfast to a protein smoothie, I'll take it.
Yeah.
For a period of time. Okay? I'll take it.
It's also good. I would advocate for smoothies because I know some people have smoothies as like a second breakfast.
Yeah.
Or a first breakfast and their second breakfast is real food just because of time.
And people who work out early in the morning, maybe they get up, have the
easily
smoothie,
digestible,
hit the gym, and then come back and have breakfast.
Also, with people who are really active, I fall into this. I'm really active. Activity can suppress an appetite, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have stressors otherwise, appetite suppression can be. Some people eat more when they get stressed. Some people don't eat when they get stressed. It just depends. But typically, if you're in fight or flight, you're not thinking about I'm hungry. It's survival. And so smoothies and protein bars can be a way to where you're able to get it in when actually eating isn't going to happen. Now, this is a problem with people on GLPs because it's not that they're exercising extensively or they're under high stress for externally, but they're on the GLP, and the nausea and the satiety with one bite makes it challenging to get a sufficient amount of calories.
Delayed gastric emptying, all that stuff. Yep.
To support their activity, which I would argue if that's the case, you need to lower the dose. But a lot of people don't want to hear that. And so
I want to titrate up, baby.
I know.
I want to titrate up.
So the smoothies, I'm kind of on the fence about. It's just, it depends, like with anything. Are you using it to promote good health and to, to add on to your already healthy habits? Or are you using it as a way to bypass things and to neglect healthy choices?
Yep. And understand that if we start there, if it's like no breakfast to having a smoothie for breakfast in this initial layer of, reclaiming your health and building up healthier habits, and understand that's temporary.
And a lot of, especially women who have been chronically dieting for years, like if you, grew up in the time frame that I did or a little bit older and it was like, I'm hungry, have some almonds, okay? Yeah. So a lot of people have been chronically dieting. They've lost that appetite connection. Like they don't feel hunger.
Not only that,
especially in the morning.
Your gut digestive system, it's like not used to digesting the way it should. So your stomach acids might be low, all this other stuff.
Smoothies can be a great way to start to get that process start going again. Now, when I talk about smoothies, like when I have a protein shake post-workout, water and protein. That's it. Okay? If you're going to make a smoothie, I want to see like Greek yogurt, some fruit, some vegetables, put some creatine in that, like load it up, make it a nutrient bomb, which you could get with an egg. But if this is where we're at, this is where we're at.
Yeah. I think so. Basically what you're getting here, talking about these new peptides that are on the market, and I want glowing skin. So I'm going to take this TB500 and I'm going to take this BPC and I'm on a GLP. And now I have 5 vials that I got to hit myself with every morning. And then I'm going to go have my protein smoothie thing. And then I'm going to have my protein bar thing. You see where this is going? Like, where's the real food at?
Yeah.
Where's the doing all the stuff so that you can actually get healthier? You're just going to inject health into your quote unquote health into your body. And it's getting really interesting. Like there's some peptides that have, BPC is really interesting, especially if you're in sports and that sort of thing. Aaron Rodgers, for example, blows his Achilles out, comes back the next season. Achilles injuries are normally 1 year before you can actually start training again. This dude was back in the game in a year. Why? Have the surgery, hit that mug with BPC 157 and TB500. Boom, faster healing. He's back to play the next year.
I'm sure he was also optimizing everything else.
I'm sure his diet is perfect, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But, these peptides play a role in that, right?
I don't disagree. But now, I'm just saying if somebody's like, well, I have surgery coming up, let me do BPC 157, but nothing else, like you're not going to get the same results.
Exactly. And not only that, he was Aaron Rodgers already. So if you're a healthier person, like everything, better living through chemistry still requires better living. Thank you, Huberman, for that awesome quote. If you take a really healthy person and you put BPC in there, it's going to look miraculous almost versus somebody who's really degraded. Let's say somebody with type 2 diabetes already with that delayed healing of tissue that type 2 diabetes gives you. And then you put BPC, it's not going to look that great.
Yep.
Right? Now, here's the problem with all of this. And then we'll conclude there. We'll leave this other topic for the next episode. Pharmaceutical industry, this is why we're calling it the nutraceutical. Mm-hmm. The pharmaceutical industry is jumping.
Their toes.
They're dipping their toes. They're jumping into the supplement game, right? Especially through the peptides. They're lobbying the FDA so that the FDA changes the classification of a lot of these peptides to biogenics, whatever, so that only they can distribute these peptides. Compounding pharmacies, they want to kick them out of the game. Here's a benefit of a compounding pharmacy. They can make these smaller doses. They drive the cost. They hit you with generics. They drive the cost of medication down. Big Pharma doesn't want that. They want to drive it up, especially if the medication still has a patent. That's when they can charge out the wazoo for it. When the medication loses patent, it drops the price and they lose interest in it and using it, right? Metformin, great for diabetics, doesn't have a patent anymore. It's super cheap, easy to get. Guess what? We don't want to prescribe metformin anymore. Now we want to hit you with this other medication that's under patent.
GLPs, SGLT2s.
Exactly. So even though you got that, they shelf metformin, even though it's been working great. So anyway, the whole thing here is pharmaceutical company is jumping into this, lobbying the FDA so that only they can distribute these peptides. It happened already 2 years ago. The BPCs and the TBs, they got taken out of that compounding thing.
Well, what's a peptide that insurance has been dominating for years? Insulin.
Oh, there you go.
There was a period there, I can't remember if it was during or pre-COVID, where insulin was outrageously expensive.
Yep.
People couldn't get it.
Yep.
And it's a natural occurring peptide, whether it's, made, or I think they used to get it from pigs. But anyway, insulin's technically not a pharmaceutical medication, but Big Pharma controls it now.
Yeah. So, and what happens is all these peptides that y'all are playing with for your little skin health and your little glow and my little all the stuff that you're playing with now, Big Pharma takes it under the wing. It drives the cost up. It happened with BPC 157 already, because a couple of years ago, there people were talking about how awesome it was, and the dosages were about $200-something a pop. It shot up right over 1,000 when they started regulating that at the FDA level, right? Granted, regulating it a little bit so that you make sure that it's safe and effective. Grain of salt there.
Yeah, but I think a reputable compounding pharmacy would do that.
Yes.
So I think it's the responsibility of the consumer to not just buy something off Amazon that,
and buy it from some Chinese supplier that you don't even, it could be sugar water for all you know, and here you are poisoning yourself with this thing. But so there's some sort of regulation is required so that the product actually meets safety standards. We can debate how well the FDA does this, right? Because the FDA lets, safe and effective. Hello, we've let a lot of stuff.
Generally regarded as safe, grass.
Wink, wink. Generally regarded as safe.
Yeah.
It's safe and effective. Wink, wink. If you know, you know.
And
that
so the
FDA has let through, and it turns out that it wasn't so, right?
The other thing is with the FDA, we've talked about before in previous episodes that revolving door between FDA and pharmaceutical companies. And so pharmaceutical companies are wanting something, and then they influence the FDA. Is your best interest going to be in mind? Not always.
Not always. So just because the FDA declared it safe doesn't mean that it actually is. So, and somebody like, if you listen to somebody like Brigham Bueller, who owns a compounding pharmacy, he talks about how many inspections compounding pharmacies are subject to by the FDA and versus how many safety violations they get, right? And then you compare that to the low amount of inspections that big pharmaceutical production facilities are put under versus how many violations they get. And you have a discrepancy there, right? Big pharmaceutical companies supposedly, allegedly have less inspections, but have more violations when they get inspected versus these guys that have a lot of inspections and less violations. So take that as a grain of salt, as you will, something to consider. The whole thing is, guys, here's what we're getting at. Do not default to supplements, it says it in the word, as your mainline health strategy for the long term.
Yep.
They are a part, some of them are a part of your long-term health equation. But if your default setting is, oh, I need I'm going to jump on this supplement, and you don't review your basic lifestyle. Hey, how's my sleep? How's my eating? How's my working out? How's my social connections? How's my exposure to nature? You don't review these before you decide to jump on some supplement, especially when you start getting into the fancy stuff, you know, the peptides and the injectables and all this stuff, then we have a problem, right?
Yep.
And once again, we're not really solving anything. So this is a call back to honoring the design, honoring nature, honoring the way you were created, okay? The human body's meant to work a certain way. It's meant to eat a plethora of things. And when you were created, they didn't say like, you know what, I'm going to make this thing, the Lord, God, okay, didn't say, I'm going to make this dude, but guess what? He's going to need all these injections and all this synthetic stuff to actually thrive. That makes no sense. No sense. Okay, so think about that when you go to sleep tonight. Like, you know what? I should probably be eating real stuff, doing real stuff, and putting that first. And then I can think about how I can supplement. Like, hey, I have an injury. Jumping on BPC for 2 months could be a good idea.
Yep.
But I suck at all my lifestyle stuff. But guess what? BPC is going to be my miracle cure, or this thing is going to be my miracle cure.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, to my final point, is a lot of people are afraid to acknowledge that they're doing something wrong. Like, it can't be me.
Oh.
I don't need to change me. They're refusing to look into the mirror. But then, hey, if I can take this pill and it makes it better, this is people being put on thyroid medication for their thyroid being a tiny bit off, 100%. Like, oh, I'm sluggish, I'm tired, I'm not doing much. Oh, my TSH is 3 or 4 or 5, and the physician goes, oh, your thyroid's a little bit up. Let's put you on a thyroid medication to help with that. But the thyroid's a gland that secretes hormones. Hormones are a luxury. Why is your thyroid not functioning optimally? Is it truly a thyroid disorder? More extensive testing than a TSH and T4 and free T4 needs to be done. Or is it your lifestyle that needs to be acknowledged so that you can support your thyroid to be optimal? But people don't want to hear that. Because, like, how dare you tell me I'm doing something wrong? Just give me a pill and make it go away. Oh my God, I just summed up my day.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know what, guys, like this health journey thing, and this is something like we're always refining, right?
Yeah.
We're not sitting here telling you that we're the healthiest people you'll ever meet. We're sitting here telling you like, hey, we might be a little bit further along on this process, and we're turning back in the path and helping others come along, join the path, you know, get to where we're at so that then we all together can move further, right?
And we're dedicated to figuring it out.
There's always a constant evaluation every day. Am I doing the right stuff here? Am I doing the right stuff there? So, and this, yeah, we're applying it to health, but when you do that as a person, really the odds of you ending up in a better place are much higher. When you're constantly evaluating yourself, what can I do better? Where can I improve? The odds of you ending up in a better place are way higher, professionally, relationship-wise, you know, emotionally, intellectually. Like, really, it's not just health. So just letting you know out there, growth mindset, the answers are out there. You just got to be crazy enough to find them. Honor the design. Don't be out here, how much synthetic, made-up stuff can I put in my body? How many injections can I take every day to, quote-unquote, get healthy? Versus, hey, I need to do all this other stuff. Common health habits done uncommonly well. That's where it's at.
Nice.
Anything we want to add?
No, I think just to recap, InBodies are great. Try to get one done. If you need help finding one, let us know. You can find it on their website, but we're more than happy to help. Do things that are of this world and naturally, right? So move your body, get sunlight, eat real food.
Hang out with cool people that you like.
Yeah. Be awake, get some sunlight in your eyes, and be asleep when it's dark. Okay?
Yeah.
Very simplified. We love helping people with that. If you just need like a one-off, take a look at my lifestyle, give me some pointers. we're working on a package for that because I think that'd be useful for people.
Yeah, listen, we're here to help.
Yeah.
So achievethelifestyle.com, info@achievethelifestyle.com. Hit us up on the email. DM us, because it go down in the DM.
At Achieve the Lifestyle.
At Achieve the Lifestyle, and we'd be happy to help you. You don't have to work with us. Sometimes the cases are like, hey, that's not what we do, but I could point you in that direction
100%.
of somebody else who does. And with that in mind, guys, Wheeze is out of here. Anything you want to say?
No, but tell them what they need to do.
They need to stay pharma-free. Thanks for listening to the PharmaPhobic podcast. If you found this conversation interesting, which I know you did, make sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also make sure to check us out on Instagram at Achieve the Lifestyle. And if you're interested in pursuing a stronger, healthier, more capable version of yourself, check out our website at achievethelifestyle.com.
The PharmaPhobic podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical or wellness decisions. While we discuss pharmaceutical, holistic, and alternative health topics, our content is not a substitute for professional medical guidance.